And we are live streaming to YouTube right now. This is the precursor to AbilityMKE Now. We will be live on the air in about 20 seconds. So if you are catching us right off the bat here, just hang in there for a moment.
Spotlight yourself. Spotlight.
Thank you. Welcome to AbilityMKE Now on River West Radio. My name is Sue Roskoff, and here with AbilityMKE Now, we are a show all about integration, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities. Here at AbilityMKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities. The concept of disability hits a wide range of possibilities. We could be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing community, blindness, chronic pain, a mental health diagnosis, goals of substance use reduction, and the list goes on. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own or with people we know or people we encounter on a daily basis. Here at AbilityMKE Now, we break down the barriers and we celebrate the ability in all of us. So we are here today to give a few updates and some insights and some exciting things that are coming up in the near future. As usual, Kurt Roskoff is with me. My hubby here is part of the program here tonight, and we're going to be finding out from him a bit more about things that are going on in his corner of the world, which, you know, obviously it ends up being our corner of the world, but there's a lot of things he has that I think we have not had a chance to talk about lately. And I think it will be something that'll be a few points of interest for all of us. I'm going to go ahead and bring you in here, Kurt. So if you can join us. And I just wanted to start out, you know what? I often end this way, but today I'm going to start this way. It is once a month. We tend to do this ice cream social night, and tonight's that night. So my first question for you is one of my favorite questions, which I know the answer, but most people probably don't. Kurt, what's your favorite ice cream?
Well, I mean, cookies and cream is definitely always there at the top of mind. But as you're talking about ice cream and picturing, having vanilla ice cream with, little Reese's peanut butter cups inside of them. So they're in the ice cream. So yeah, if you picture those miniature Reese's peanut butter cups, and then picture I'm eating it like with all those in the ice cream. That's kind of what I'd be looking for at the moment, if that helps anything.
Oh, of course. And we have similar tastes. Actually, that is one of my favorites. The cookies and cream is always a favorite, and cookie dough always kind of tips itself into the mix as well. So that's us. So luckily we agree on ice cream. So there's not a lot of fights in the house, except for who's the last one who finished the whole thing, and it's none left for the next. But anyway, on to our next topic here. Just wanted to throw them off a little bit and start there. So I wanted to just actually start out by kind of opening it up with, there's a lot going on in your little corner of the world here. And I'm curious where you would like to start, because there's things going on with the veterans and like with Brian's organization, with Project Die Hard. There's a lot happening. Helpopedia is another group that there's a lot going on there. I know our HMP community, Happy Neighborhood Project, there's a lot of things, and there's a lot more beyond that. So I guess, what is top of mind with you? Where would you like to start?
Well, I'm going to start with an organization called Bernie's Book Bank, berniesbookbank.org, and it is a success story out of Chicago, actually. But I have been referred to Bernie's Book Bank from Helpopedia, helpopedia.org, and that is, pretty much a networking connection to be a part of the expansion and the growth of the Chicago success story across the nation. And for sure, being led from Chicago, they have their sights set for Milwaukee. So that's a little bit of what we get the privilege of here. So what a great way to use this community radio to share that, Milwaukee is an attraction for a great nonprofit mission to make sure that, Milwaukeeans, families who don't have the money to go ahead and readily have books on hand for their children, that Bernie's Book Bank is there. So that's what we're working on, is to help the literacy reading aspect, to help perhaps performance of the reading aspects, and otherwise the state, scores and so forth for students in the Milwaukee public school system and wherever else, because we're bringing Bernie's Book Bank to Milwaukee. And I did bring up about Helpopedia. Helpopedia is doing some online events. So with what we're doing, supporting youth, teenagers, college students with parents and their families, and creating a community around that. Helpopedia is here to help. And so I'm working specifically over here in Sussex, Lisbon, Lannon, Butler, with the little slices of Pewaukee and Heartland and, of Menominee Falls and so forth, because of the Hamilton School District over in Waukesha County. So not the Milwaukee Hamilton gang, but over in the Waukesha County side, some specific occurrences have given inspiration to build off of the coincidence that through the Happy Neighborhood Project, we got introduced to Helpopedia. So it's just really fun to experience how there's a domino effect, a ripple effect of one thing leading to another. And it seems so beautifully orchestrated. It's like supernatural forces, folks. So I'm paying attention, and I'm trying to be obedient and to be a servant and help make this happen around the Milwaukee area. So that's where we're working there with the Happy Neighborhood Project, you, Sue, with our friend Emily that's on here a lot, with a couple other of our co-hosts and a captain from HMP. We're welcoming people, to what we call the happiest place in the world for business people. So that's happening, every Tuesday at 1 Central. And so that's a Zoom meeting. And so something we do to promote what we call the zip code HAPPY, which is basically saying we're here to spread happiness around the world. So it's a unique zip code where it means we're delivering all around the world. It's going to 8 billion people. So that's kind of what's going on here. So if you, look at it, that this is about finding people around the area where, if somebody's interested to spread happiness, like you with your Tupperware business, so you say, do what makes you happy. So that's one thing that we're bringing to the forefront, that we're bringing to Milwaukee is, what about gathering together and making Milwaukee a happier place, that we go into our places of business, we go into our face spaces, we go into UW Milwaukee, we go into MATC, we go into all these places, we go into the racquetball club, we go into our workout centers, we go into our city hall, our county offices, and everybody's just so happy. What do you think about that, Milwaukee? Are we thinking we want to be happy? So happyneighborhoodproject.com. And so there's a lot to be said for room, that these social missions, social enterprise, social ministries can be grown right here in the Milwaukee area. And so you and I, Emily and others, and we're working with like the Mutual Aid Network, mutualaidnetwork.org, to work with things like the Build Center and the Milwaukee Area Time Exchange. And there's just so much. Milwaukee is so rich for like nonprofit, like River West Radio. That this all fits together, folks. We could really look at this as an exciting time, knowing that we have the right people, calling Milwaukee the right place. Like, why not Milwaukee versus anywhere else in the world? Let's do this stuff right here in Milwaukee. So with that, Sue, I guess that's where I'd like to get started. So now back to you. Where do we go from here? Take it away, Sue.
And one thing that brings to mind for me is just the fine, thin lines that connect so many different things that we end up doing in life. We have basically one thing that leads to the next. I know you had been introduced through a contact from a long time ago to the Happy Neighborhood Project, which has led to Helpopedia, which has led to Bernie's Book Bank, there's all these little pieces that, sometimes when life puts something right in front of you, you need to actually just grab a hold of that and move with it. You not resisting, actually going with that flow forward makes a big difference. I know when you were talking about the whole thing with books, it also brought to mind Girl Scouts. Our daughter is with the local Girl Scout troop, and one of the things that they chose to do for a big project this year is actually making one of those little libraries that you see. People have them in their yards, people have them at business locations, but it's basically one of those little tiny it's bigger than a birdhouse, but not, it's not huge, but it's something that you can have in a public place, and there's books there. Typically, I think mostly kids' books, but not entirely. And it's something where just on a very casual basis, people can go, if you need a book, grab one. When you're done with it, put it back. Or if you're done with some books, if your kids outgrow some books, leave them at those locations. It's a very cool concept that I am impressed with how much that has caught on. I'm assuming across the country. I know I've seen it quite a bit locally here, and I just love that idea. And I know locally here, the plan is to put a couple in the parks nearby here. And like, how perfect is that? Kids can be playing, and perhaps the parents that brought them there can grab a book and read, or while their kids are doing there. That, there's all sorts of possibilities, and I just love the idea of that. Or even reading to your kids out in a public place like that, just have some downtime, get under a shade tree. And maybe people don't have a yard where they can do that, where they can literally go outside and sit somewhere and just enjoy the outdoors. Well, now there's going to be an added benefit locally there for what's available. So I'm real proud of that, and think it's such a great idea. Now you were talking a little bit about like the Sussex, Lisbon, Landon, Butler kind of area. Automatically my brain goes to Optimist Club. I'm not sure how many people truly understand what is an Optimist Club. That's something that is for everyone, but I know the basis of Optimist is friend of youth, bringing out the best in kids. And they've got a huge number of different programs that they offer, and there's a lot of local clubs around here. I know there's several in Southeast Wisconsin here, and they all have their own projects that they do, their own activities that they offer. I know one thing that is actually on a national and even an international level, because this is an organization that is international. One of the things that they offer is a communications program, a communications contest for the deaf and hard of hearing. And Kurt, you were in past years, I know it's been a little while now, but you've been very familiar with that program. I'm wondering if you could just talk to it a little bit about what is that and what huge benefit that is for those that have the opportunity to participate in this.
Yeah, so what I can say is that Wisconsin can be very proud of its role in this, because out of Green Bay, that was the initiative back in the 90s where the Optimist members of Green Bay worked with students who then were stakeholders in this coming forward and being a thing. And so it became I don't know if I would call it a flagship, but like a pioneering project from a club that had success in Green Bay, and then it spread on to other clubs, and then it showed the interest of membership for the Optimus International to do this, and for OI Foundation, Optimus International Foundation, to then use foundation funds to grow what's available for scholarships, and to have it right there with the oratorical contest that basically was in place all along. And then that's what they noticed, was that students who are deaf or hard of hearing were kind of we're just basically not taking it on to be a part of that scholarship, because it's not formatted for them. So that's where the accommodation is made, to consider their, sign language interpretation, and to, look at the, delivery by someone who's deaf or hard of hearing, in that. So basically, southern Wisconsin, the Swiss district, we call it, for SWIS, for southern Wisconsin, has had some great success. And so out of south central Wisconsin, that's where it ended up on the district level, that in more recent years, the leadership of it was carrying it forward. And that's where I came into play, because it no more than petered out that the individual who volunteered for all those years, needed to step aside for what was going on in her life. And so I basically was coming in to rejuvenate the whole thing. And it's, working out, pretty decently. And, so now it's a matter of scaling it up again, so that it's more of a thing. So, so it's a simple thing that, the program or the response to the question, is something that's all available. Like we have an essay contest. So that's all available to put everybody literally on the same page for what the response of the student is. But then the student does deliver that, through their, through their mode of, communication. So whether that's sign language or whatever, the student is able to be comfortable with their own communication style.
It's an amazing program, and I'm thrilled that that's available here for students locally, and it's actually potentially available across the country here as an option. But having something that's local to be able to tap into makes such a difference. And I'm so happy that you're able to do that and get things rejuvenated and moving forward again. Now I want to actually, you touched briefly, I kind of jumping topics here, but before I forget, you had made a comment about the Milwaukee Time Exchange. Now we actually have some interesting connecting points, talking about fine lines of how you get connected to different things. The Milwaukee Time Exchange is something that we first learned about when there was the ADA 25 celebration. So the Americans with Disability Act had a 25-year anniversary celebration, celebrating just the creation of that act of Congress. And that was now several years ago, because now we're at 33 years out at this point. So 8 years ago, you were instrumental in creating this Ability Fest concept, where we celebrated all things ability, basically. And one thing that was there was the Milwaukee Time Exchange. And that is something that's actually, with all of that, that's what led us to here being on River West Radio, because we were introduced to a gentleman named Marty Hagedorn, who was for a very long time a host of his own show here on River West. And we're grateful to him for that. And I know the Milwaukee Time Exchange I have not personally not been very connected to it lately. I know it's come up in conversation recently, and I believe my understanding is it's rejuvenating a bit again right now. Are you familiar with where that is at right now, or is that just, are you kind of on the same page where it's starting to come back around a bit more again and getting some traction, or do you know more?
Well, what's happening is that those that have been involved before, and obviously always inviting new participation for people to be oriented to the Milwaukee Area Time Exchange. So it's just a matter of the format tends to be a potluck where Sue, you and I have been there where, you bring a dish to pass, and the great culture of the time bank with these potlucks is to recognize that with some of these activities where there's food fair, we have our Milwaukeeans who, are living in poverty and don't have the resources to go and bring food to share. So that's the idea of the potluck, is that, you work with what you have, and that if the Milwaukee Area Time Exchange potluck is helpful to you because there is a need for food, it's a big buffet from potlucking it, and everybody eats, is the bottom line here. So again, time banking, is, I look at it as there's two sides of time banking, which is very natural in community life, that each member gets to express, what they want to offer to the Milwaukee community and to individuals. And, it's directly facilitated for sure through the membership, that there's even a platform that's available that you can say, I'm blasting this out to the membership that I offer to help with sewing, or I offer to help with computer help, or I offer to help with yard work, or I offer to help with this expertise or that. And sometimes it could be just companionship, just to visit, just to spend time. And that's really the backbone function of the time bank and Milwaukee Area Time Exchange, is to spur connections in Milwaukee. And, River West, really is at the core of this, because it's the River West community where it all started. So the strongest history and the big success stories are with folks that live right in the River West area. So that's really the historical dynamic, is to take what's been proven from the world of things, in the world of time banking, that we have a successful time exchange, time bank here in Milwaukee Area Time Exchange, and it's available for Milwaukee to participate in and to make at a citizen level or occupant level, things happen between each other. And it doesn't have to match up right with the people you're physically with. The idea is, let's just aggregate people that, get them into membership, get them as a collective, and you just do all this stuff between yourself and the whole bunch. And then somewhere within the whole bunch, there tends to be that reciprocity. So it's offers and requests. So a strong time exchange, a strong time bank, has every member making several requests and several offers. If every member makes several requests and several offers, that makes a well-rounded, reciprocating, it's built on reciprocity, back and forth. And also, members don't have to worry about how much, it can be like volunteering, where you're just offering all the time and you're not really looking for making those requests. But people who make the requests or receive what they're requesting, that really drives the time bank stronger than the offers, actually. And some of it's because of people's hesitancy, to ask for stuff, but that's ever so important. So if people, so people are in a time where they need to ask a lot. In time banking, we encourage people that if that's where you are in your journey, in this season of life where you need to ask for a lot, go ahead, pile up the requests. You don't get what you don't ask for. And again, with the time banking, you're a strong part of the time bank when you make those requests.
Excellent. Thanks for the update on all that. And that it truly is exchanging your time for somebody else's time, so to speak. So the time exchange. So what if you place an offer to say, I can help with yard work. And there's somebody else who you ends up finding you then saying, I need help with yard work. You can help that person and you bank those hours. So if I help them for 2 hours, I now have 2 hours in the bank, so to speak. And if you end up needing something, one of your requests could be, I need help with plumbing. So that has nothing to do with that first person that you interacted with. This is a totally separate thing, but you can be turning in your time then in exchange for some other service. So it truly is a unique give and take system that is hugely beneficial for everybody who participates. So it took me a while, honestly, to wrap my head around it because it's so different. It's we're all used to, exchanging time for money, basically, and then you use that money to buy stuff. Well, this is a different concept, but a related concept. So it's something where once you get it, it's like, wow, why haven't I heard of this before? Right? So it's pretty spectacular, and I'm glad to hear that it is coming around again and getting some spurred growth, and I hope it continues in that way because it's exactly what every community should have, in my opinion. So in these last couple of minutes that we have, I just want to think a little bit fast forward here because you know what? It felt like summer in the recent days here. We had some warm weather that actually poked its head in. I know it got cold again, but you know what? Summer's coming. And for us, we're water skiers. And how we got started in all this in the first place was all about adaptive water skiing. And that is something that I am so looking forward to again this summer. We are anticipating several dates to be announced once they're solidified, but we're anticipating several opportunities this summer with the whole adaptive water skiing program. And I'm going to ask Kurt for one more question here. With all these years and all the different people we've skied with and all these experiences we've had, I wonder if you could share maybe what's one of your, whether it's a favorite experience or one that just stands out in your mind every time you think about the whole concept of adaptive water skiing. Share one brief story with us to finish off our evening.
All right, I'm just going to quickly pop off a few different snippets here. One is the big sensation is when our friend Chad got on the back of the ski show director at Tommy Bartlett's with a flyboard. Now, a flyboard uses like fire hose type hosing to propel from a jet ski a board up in the air with enough force that it will carry a person up there. So he, being a man with spastic cerebral palsy, Paul wheelchair user, being tethered to the back like that, going 15 feet in the air was nothing short of just absolutely amazing. And then I think of with the Lindsay Legis Free Water Skiing Club, one of our participants loving to sing and loving the pirate theme and getting with our friend Carrot Stick Rick and those guys just kind of doing like show skiing at adaptive water skiing and performing by a sing-along was really tremendous. But I also want to point out that when I got into it, and I learned the story of a former Miss Wheelchair USA contestant out of Illinois, Miss Wheelchair Illinois, to hear how adaptive water skiing basically helped keep her clear of suicide ideation. That really brought to me where the power of our program is.
Yeah, it's spectacular with what has happened, and I can only imagine where things will go as we continue with similar programming in the future. And we could spend an entire program here just talking about stories, and maybe we'll have to do that and just focus on that for an evening. But with that, I am so happy to be here with AbilityMKE Now. My name is Sue Roskoff, and obviously this has been Kurt Roskoff as well. We are AbilityMKE Now with River West Radio. And as always, we thank you.